Hi, I'm Jennifer Schlickburn, the Game Pioneer, and today I'm going to discuss Tapestry, 2019 release, I think, by Stonemaier Games, and designed by Jamey Stegmaier, the owner of Stonemaier Games. I played it when it first came out, wasn't too impressed. However, there are people who love this game. I think it's a great game. So I revisited it a couple of times, and I would like to share my thoughts with you. This is not going to be as much of a, you do this in the game and you do that in the game, basically because, I don't know, there's got to be 100 Tapestry videos, so if you want to know the details, I would suggest you look at them. This is going to be more of a critical analysis with some description, so I can give you context. So, basically, Tapestry is a game of tracks. Okay, there are 4 tracks on the board. We have military, science, exploration, and technology. There's also tracks on your player board, which can give you points and other bonuses. The tracks, as you would expect, you get more basic things at the start and you get more complicated things at the end. You are rewarded for focusing on maybe 1 or 2 tracks versus trying to get to the end of all of them, because it just isn't enough game time to actually accomplish that. So it plays, I believe, it has a single player, and it plays up to 5. It does include variable player powers, which have been a source of a lot of controversy because apparently they aren't balanced. At least they aren't balanced out of the original box. We looked at, at least in my last 2 games, we looked at the suggested changes for the player powers to make them more balanced. The other thing was when I was talking with Jamey Stegmaier about the game, I was saying I don't really mind unbalanced player powers, just like when I get to my advanced Civ review, you're going to hear all about unbalanced player powers. What I want, though, is for the publisher to say, hey, this Craftsman, for example, is for people who either want a simpler gameplay or maybe for beginners, versus maybe the leaders are more complex and need more experience with the game to really bring them out. Again, I haven't played enough to make any judgment, so I don't want to assert that. But I know he's made at least, I believe, 2 sets of changes, especially based on, apparently it's on BGA. BGA play. BGA it will bring out any sort of meta in a game if it's popular, because people play it so much. You can play, 20 games with Tapestry in one day. I wouldn't, but you could. So, all right. So, one of the things, there are a couple of very interesting aspects to this game. First of all, that you decide when you're going to take income. So there isn't an income phase. There's a, hey, on my turn, instead of going up one of the tracks, I'm going to take income. And so this then develops a maybe I don't know if you call it unbalanced, but, you know, I just took income, so I got all of this stuff, and this player hasn't taken income yet, so they're down to the very, you know, small parts of their board. So that is intriguing, I think, as a board game experience. How much do you look at other people's boards to go, well, when would be the best time to take income in this situation? Naturally, I mean, eventually you have to, because you just run out of everything, but I'm just saying that you may, you know, want to have a specific timing to it. The original rules were 4 pages, and the result was 770 plus rules questions. Now, Tapestry is ranked 263. Let's just say 260s or mid 200s, okay? 773 rules questions. Brass Birmingham is number 1, 505 rules questions. Which do you think had the better rules, right? Because, you know, naturally, the complexity of the game and the variability of the game is going to affect that as well. However, and of course, Brass Birmingham is probably less variable than Tapestry, yet at the same time, if you read the Tapestry rules, they're just very bare bones. And so naturally, a lot of questions would come up during play. Now, I do want to mention one big thing. In the Fantasies and Futures release, they redid the rules entirely, and they are so much better. If you do decide that you want to play Tapestry, please be sure to download those rules and don't use the rules in the box, because the rules in the box are simply not complete. The big thing about Tapestry is that the gameplay is very swingy. So, you know, one turn, someone draws this card, and man, that's just great. It's a great card, and now I'm gonna, you know, go pumping ahead. And the other person draws a really bad card. And now you might want to say, you might be thinking, well, maybe that depends on what their their asymmetric special power is. Unfortunately, in some cases at least, that is simply not true. Some of the cards are just overall better. Now, for a lot of people, because a lot of people really love this game, that doesn't bother them. For my group, that's like a game breaker. We are very competitive players, for better or worse. And to have someone just kind of get this card, which gives them a big advantage, is going to be irritating for us. For others, it's just, oh yeah, well, I'm still having a good time, and okay, fine. You know, he's going to, or she's going to be in front of me. I'm good with that. The other thing which probably goes with that is that this is very much of a multiplayer solitaire game, right? And there's not much interaction. I mean, there's a board here, and in the military, yes, you can take over spaces, but from a wargamer point of view, the defense is way too high. So you're not going to have this kind of cool ebb and flow on the conquest board. And because of that, it's going to be a slog trying to win the game by getting spaces through conquest. And, you know, I always look at it when designers add military to a game, because that's always the issue, right? So, you know, unlike like the original Through the Ages, the military there was pretty strong, yeah. And people are like, I don't know about this. I'm getting pounded into the floor unless I really invest in military. Well, of course, the second edition of Through the Ages modified that, and from everything I hear, it's no longer the issue that it was. So here, we have a military that, in my opinion, is too defensive to be worth investing in unless, again, your player power plays into it. You know, I just did the review of Mosaic. Well, in Mosaic, I think Mosaic gets the military way better than Tapestry does because you can invest in it. It's an opportunity cost, but it can be effective, right? You know, and it can be effective without being overwhelming on the board. But this, I was disappointed. We'll say it that way. I will say that the game, unlike Mosaic, if you play it by the rules, didn't overstay its welcome. It felt like, you know, it was over when it should have been naturally because everyone can choose. You only get, I believe it's 3 incomes, or maybe I should have looked it up, but you only get a limited number of income terms. After the last one, your game is over. Now, your game could be over, but everyone else is still playing, or, you know, maybe the game ends up where only one person is still playing, you know, and normally you're like, oh, do I have to wait here half an hour while they finish? But that's not how it worked for us, and I haven't heard that it's how it worked for others. He did a great job in managing the tempo of the game so that, yeah, people end at different times, but it's not something that is an issue, which, like I said, very impressive. We haven't seen games with, you know, that equivalent, which basically were player elimination games, in this century. Right? I mean, most of the games, they either everybody's done after this many turns or after this is hit or whatever. We haven't seen many games where the end of the game differs per player. So that, like I said, big ups. You know, and yeah, it just doesn't really have that interactive feel. You know, it'd be kind of cool if you could like race people and stuff on the different tracks, but that's not really what happens. Although, you know, for people like the brothers Murphy, who hopefully you folks watch, they're like, please, multiplayer solitaire, it's my favorite. It was so funny. But for us, multiplayer solitaire is not our favorite, particularly when it's going to last more than an hour, which this game does. So, yeah, I can't give this game a recommendation for competitive players. I can give it a recommendation, though, for those who are coming, let's say they want to, you know, they might be at a transition point where, you know, they're kind of tired of the simpler, less complicated games, and they're looking for something with a little more meat to it. This definitely will fit that space. If, you know, without you going into something, you know, that is way more combative, like Advanced Civ. But, yeah, I mean, that's really kind of my assessment of it. I hope you have enjoyed this critical analysis, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you very much for watching.